Matt, a lot of talk about the first two games on the schedule at Memphis and Arkansas. What's your take there? How important is it for you guys to get off to a good start?
No, I think it's very important to get off to a good start. Really, we're focused on the first one. You know, I think opening with an opponent like Memphis, very similar to last year with an opponent like Texas Tech. I think the guys, they prepare and they know they have a very good team to get ready for. So I think in that way, it kind of gives you a little bit more of a sense of urgency in that. In those fall camp practices.
So how is Memphis different this year? I think they're replacing quarterback, running back. What do they look like?
Well, they're just a very good football team.
Yeah.
Very explosive. A lot of respect for Coach Norvell and what he's been able to accomplish there. And they're a good football team. So we'll have to go up there and play our best game to beat them.
The choice to bring Matt Corral here as a freshman, obviously he's the only underclassman here. What did you kind of see from him in the locker room as a leader?
Well, I think he was forced into that leadership role, and I think he did a great job with it. I think his competitive nature and his fire and the way that people gravitate toward him, kind of made him an obvious choice to bring.
All the injuries in spring, are they ready to go in August?
They are. I think, getting guys like Benito and Josiah that set out, Dasher and Armani are both back. Jalen Jones and Custis are both full speed. So it's good to see those guys all out in condition.
I know all the freshmen reported. Has everybody been cleared?
They have. So far, everybody's been cleared to work out and play. I don't foresee there being any academic casualties.
How does Matt work with those trio of younger guys underneath him? Because he was kind of that guy last year.
Yeah, well, you know what? I might be the only team in the country with 4 freshman quarterbacks. So I think it is a young group. But Matt being able to play in those 4 games, that redshirt rule really benefited him to be able to get some experience, get his feet wet, and I think that you can see the difference that made in the spring with with how he progressed.
What is the plan for Jerrion Ely, Matt? Do you know how y'all use him yet?
Yeah, he's obviously a very talented guy that all of our fans, we're all excited about. Very talented guy, but the thing that's unique about him is he can do so many different things. I think he can line up in the slot, he can line up in the backfield, he can catch balls out of the backfield, he can run speed sweeps. There's so many things that with a guy like that you can do, and look forward to find a way to get him the ball in space.
Can you talk us through kind of his re-recruitment with Jerrion in June when the draft was happening? What were you able to say?
I think Jerry, I think he loved Ole Miss and was one of our first commitments in this class, and I think he wanted to be there. Obviously, that there was an opportunity that he could take care of his family for the rest of his life. He was going to take it, but fortunately it worked out for us, and we're fortunate to have him.
Obviously, you got a couple of guys doing the football, baseball thing. Obviously, you're only responsible for the football side, but have you talked to them at all about just what the two-sport life entails?
Yeah, absolutely. They kind of knew what they were getting into, and Coach Bianco and myself both talked to them in the recruiting process about that. But they're both special young men, and we'll work through that as we move forward.
Have you solidified the left side of your offensive line in your mind yet?
You know what? I think there's still a lot of, with all these freshmen coming in this summer that weren't there this spring, I think there'll be some competition there. But I do feel really good about Bryce and about Royce. I thought they had a really good spring. And I think Alex maybe having the ability to maybe move over and play some left too. So I think there's still a few things that we have to decide, but I think there's going to be a lot of competition in fall camp.
When you came to this event last year, there were a lot of questions about bowl bans and the NCAA stuff. You're probably not going to get a lot of that today. Do you sense it's kind of a different air around your program right now?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that when I get up on the podium. Just about the feeling of normalcy. I think almost a sense of normalcy that we could just go play football. So I'm excited about that.
Where are y'all at, Matt, with scholarships after Cavante and Josh? Are y'all at 83?
Yeah, so what we're at 80. We're at 84 right now. We're able to put Mac Brown and Luke Logan both on with those 2 departures.
I know you can't talk about individual guys, but kind of a string of commitments over the last 8 weeks. How does it feel to kind of see the recruiting front pick up?
Well, I think anytime that you can walk into a living room and not have the cloud hanging over your head, I think that's a huge thing. And I think you're seeing immediate impact on the recruiting trail because of what we just talked about.
You guys didn't talk about the scholarship thing a lot last year, but I think in a couple games in October when you got banged up, you were around 60 scholarship guys for a game or two. Like, can you feel that when you're going out for a game that you're actually?
Absolutely. Everybody in this conference in particular, depth becomes very, very important. And so being back at the number 85 is a huge deal. Now, when you're in the middle of it, you're not making excuses. You're trying to move people around, trying to find a way to win football games. But even though I think some of the faces will be young, it'll be fun to see those young guys compete and get some playing time and get their feet wet. But I do think getting back to a full allotment is very important.
What's your feelings on this defense? I mean, it was pretty bad last year. And
Right.
a lot of the same faces. I mean, you see a year wiser, or you just see the same old guys?
Well, I think you got a bunch of guys over there who played a bunch of football. I mean, you look at Josiah Coden, Benito Jones, and Tariqus Tisdale, and Momo, and Willie, and Kadir, and Jalen's. You see a bunch of guys that played a lot of football. But quite frankly, what I saw in the spring, I liked the most is they had a chip on their shoulder. They're tired of hearing about how bad they are. And I'm excited to see these guys, play with that chip on their shoulder. I knew Coach McIntyre was a very, very good coach, but it was fun to see them really buy into his system and develop confidence as they went this spring. So I think you'll see a much, much better defense when we take the field against Memphis. Still got to go do it, but I'm confident that we're going to be a much better defense.
Have they adapted to the 3-4 pretty well?
Yeah, I think it was, y'all came to practice. It was a pretty seamless transition. And, even with Kadir and Chuck Wiley and Sam Williams out there in space, it kind of fit them, and I really like the efficiency with, Coach Roach going from coaching 4 guys to only 3, and Tyrone Nix only coaching 2 guys. I just think it's a very efficient in our approach. I'm excited about that.
What can you evaluate right now about Jalen Jones before he's really full speed in practice?
Well, I think physically he's fine. He'll be mentally, he'll have to get over those full speed cuts. And the first time he gets tackled, he's on a kickoff return. The first time he's got to, change directions, full speed in the game. But he's looked great so far. And Pat Jernigan and our medical staff have done a good job getting him back.
So will y'all continue to use him in special teams?
We will.
Matt, do you expect the punt return to be more of a weapon rather than let's just catch it?
Yeah, I do. I think we'll maybe put some of these young guys back there and let the best man win and compete at that. But with so much of the rugby stuff that people are doing, very few people get the opportunity to return a punt because of the rugby style, and you don't get very many opportunities. But when you do get those opportunities, you do want to use a weapon if you can.
You mentioned being a young team, and obviously with all those freshmen, how many of those guys are almost going to have to play?
Well, at the obvious spots, offensive line and wide receiver, you're going to have some young guys step in and play or provide depth. And so I think those are the 2 key positions. So you're looking at guys like Nick Broker, Mingo, Dennis Jackson, even guys like Tyler Knight that haven't played a bunch. You're going to have to see them step in there and have a significant role.
Is Tylen still playing in the slot? Is he back at running back?
He is. It's very similar to what we're talking about with Jerry on the ability to line up in the slot, run some speed sweeps, to be able to run vertical, to line up in the backfield, and just keep defensive off balance so they don't know whatever personnel you're in.
If you had somebody put a gun to your head, who's your number 2 quarterback?
Well, I'll let you know after fall camp. But we do have it'll be a great competition. I thought Tisdale, Kincaid, both they did a very good job with training. I think you saw them get better, obviously. But then now we have John Rice Plumlee coming in that wasn't there in spring practice, but done a great job this summer. So I think it'll be a great competition to kind of see.
Do you anticipate Plumlee being on the defensive side as well, possibly?
No, he's going to be at quarterback.
Okay.
Is there anything interesting maybe that Rich Rod does to kind of make things easier on those guys?
Well, you know what? I think I was very impressed with Rich in spring. Obviously installing a new offense, but installing an attitude and an edge. And I think that'll be the key to this offense. It's going to be young, but I do think it will be dynamic, and I think it'll be fun to watch. Because I think it'll be imperative that we play with that edge and that toughness. And I think that's what he brought to the table. I'm very excited to see that this spring.
A lot of problems last year, Matt, seemed to center defensively, seemed to center on alignment. I heard y'all talk about defense a lot, and then tackling. Do you sense that this group will be better fundamentally?
I do. I think obviously the experience will help, but I really have been impressed. I've obviously worked with Coach McIntyre, knew he was a great coach and a great teacher. And I think the attention to detail, all the different walkthroughs, I think it paid dividends in the spring about guys lining up right, being in the right spot. And typically when you're in the right spot, you have your eyes right, you become a better tackler.
How much does a slightly slower paced offense help the defense, or is that overrated? You know what I mean, just as far as not being on the field as
You know,
much?
I think, whenever you can make all your checks and get your cleats dug in the ground, obviously it becomes easier. But, I think you have to adjust to whatever. I think that's part of being a good offense or a good defense. You have to be able to adjust to whatever you see.
Coach, you said you've seen a difference in Matt this year. What are some of those differences?
Just confidence, not being scared to speak up, and then obviously just the building that rapport with everybody. You get all those reps, you spend all that time in the spring and in the summer, and I just think it's important for him to spend that time, to build that rapport and that camaraderie with the offensive linemen, the running backs, the receivers, and I think just being that guy, I think really helps.
Seeing him, be more vocal as even still a freshman. I mean, what's that dynamic like? Seeing a guy that young, sort of taking the
Well,
vocal?
I think it's much more than being vocal. It's about your demeanor. It's about the way that you carry yourself. And I think, again, we talked about it earlier, his competitive nature. I think people gravitate toward that, and I think that's very important.
With the switch to the 3-4, I guess it's 3 returning linebackers for those 2 inside spots. What do you expect from that competition with Momo and Jaquez and Willie?
I think there's going to be a lot of competition. Momo's our leading tackler coming back. Jaquez was a freshman all conference, and you throw Lakia Henry in that mix, was the top junior college linebacker in the country. I think we got a lot of experience, a lot of guys made a bunch of tackles coming back, so I'm excited about that.
Anything else? All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.